India's monsoon infrastructure gap is creating a $47 billion climate arbitrage opportunity. The consensus read is already outdated. What matters now is the second-order effect most commentary still ignores. We will map trigger, incentive shift, and downstream impact before the close. They're not. They're the most predictable, most underpriced infrastructure arbitrage opportunity on the planet. Every June, India loses $47 billion to monsoon disruption. That's not speculation, it's a calendar event. Mumbai floods 15 to 22 days guaranteed. Flights divert. Roads close. Logistics costs spike 34 to 58%. The India Meteorological Department now predicts rainfall with 85% accuracy 7 days out. We know exactly when and where chaos will hit. Yet India spends just 0.31% of GDP on climate-adaptive infrastructure. Vietnam spends 0.52%. Bangladesh, a country one-tenth India's size, spends 0.68%. That gap is the arbitrage. Think about what that means. Certainty without pricing. Predictability treated as randomness. That's not a weather problem, that's a capital market failure. Let's start with insurance. India's parametric insurance penetration for weather events sits at 2.3% of at-risk exposure. China covers 12.8%. Brazil 8.4%. Even Bangladesh hits 5.1%. Parametric insurance doesn't wait for claims adjusters. It pays automatically when rainfall hits a threshold, 65 millimeters in 24 hours, the sensor triggers, the smart contract executes, money lands in your account. A Mumbai logistics company pays 12,000 rupees a month June through September for a 500,000 rupee automatic payout when rainfall triggers. No paperwork. No waiting. Pure efficiency. Arbol and Descartes Underwriting run this in East Africa. Retention rates hit 78 to 82%. The technology works. India's market is 40 times larger. SSI Lombard and HDFC Ergo deployed limited parametric products. They're covering 0.4% of potential exposure. The real story? IRDAI announced a sandbox framework for climate parametric products on June 30, 2026. 90 days to provisional approval. That's the inflection point. First movers get regulatory arbitrage for 24 months before the category becomes crowded. Now shift to logistics. India's logistics sector loses $11 billion annually to monsoon delays. Only 8% of Indian logistics firms use real-time weather-integrated route optimization. China, 34%. The EU, 41%. Loadshare Networks, a Bangalore startup, deployed dynamic routing that treats weather as a variable cost. They integrated the IMD Nowcast API with historical flooding data. Generated dynamic routes in real time. Revenue grew 340% year-over-year while competitors contracted 12%. Same service, climate-smart routing, 94% reliability versus the industry's 67%. Why? Because they stopped treating monsoons as black swans and started treating them as operational parameters. A Mumbai to Delhi shipment in July traditionally costs 45,000 rupees, 48 hours. Loadshare reroutes through Vadodara and Jaipur, adds 140 kilometers, avoids 3 flood-prone bottlenecks, delivers in 44 hours at 41,000 rupees. Faster and cheaper. India's domestic logistics sector is worth $215 billion, with 34% concentrated in monsoon months. Climate-smart routing captures 2 to 3 percentage points of margin in a 6.8% EBITDA sector. That's $3 to $4 billion in value creation for whoever scales it first. Here's the third angle, power grids. Kerala experienced 847 localized outages during the July 4th to 5th rainfall. Mumbai lost power to 340,000 homes. Centralized grid architecture treats weather as an edge case. India has 78 gigawatts of solar capacity. Only 4.2 gigawatts is in resilient microgrid configurations with battery storage. Philippines, Indonesia, Bangladesh operate at 11 to 14% microgrid penetration. Monsoon-resilient microgrids deliver 22 to 28% higher uptime in June-September. That translates to 140 to 180 rupees per kilowatt-hour in avoided economic losses for industrial users versus 8 rupees for grid power. A 2 megawatt solar plus 4 megawatt-hour battery microgrid now pays back in 4.7 years, down from 8.2 years in 2023. Tata Power and Schneider Electric announced a joint venture on July 2, 2026. 500 megawatts of monsoon-hardened microgrids across coastal industrial zones by 2028. 38,000 crore investment. Target, pharmaceutical, automotive, data center customers where an hour of downtime costs 12 to 45 lakh rupees. This represents 0.6% of India's total power capacity. There's room for 10 to 15 similar ventures before saturation. Why is capital still mispricing this? 3 reasons. First, recency bias. Insurance actuaries use 50-year historical datasets. Mumbai experienced 6 once-in-a-century rainfall events in 11 years. Models haven't caught up. Second, fragmented government response. 17 different agencies handle monsoon preparedness with zero data interoperability. Private capital can't build on fragmented infrastructure. Third, cultural framing. Monsoons are natural disasters, acts of God, uncontrollable. Not seasonal operational challenges you can hedge. That framing literally changes how capital allocates, ESG plays versus operational efficiency plays. Here's the timeline that matters. IRDAI's parametric insurance sandbox is live as of July 1, 2026. That creates 24 months of regulatory arbitrage for first movers. National logistics policy implementation runs through March 2027 with 12,000 crore in subsidies for climate-smart routing technology. RBI's climate risk disclosure mandates take effect January 2027, forcing listed companies to quantify monsoon exposure and creating instant demand for hedging products. These 3 catalysts converge right now, and they won't stay open indefinitely. The contrarian bet isn't that India solves monsoons. It's that a handful of companies position themselves as intermediaries between predictable seasonal chaos and unprepared markets. Winners stop treating June-September as a crisis to survive and start treating it as a recurring revenue opportunity. That's the real game. The arbitrage closes when the market catches up. And the market's catching up fast. India loses $47 billion every monsoon. Same dates, same places, same costs. Yet insurance covers only 2.3% of exposure versus 12.8% in China. Parametric microinsurance pays automatically when rain hits a sensor threshold. Logistics companies reroute around known bottlenecks and outcompete by 18%. Power grids hardened with microgrids deliver 28% higher uptime. The monsoon isn't a disaster, it's the most predictable arbitrage on Earth. And regulators just opened the door. Focus on 3 layers: immediate trigger, structural incentive shift, and downstream effects on operators, users, and regulators. Then map scenario playbooks, optimistic execution, base case adaptation, and risk case where integration friction or policy reaction slows adoption.